Welcome, weebs, to this week's episode of Kanpai Cast. Today we are joined with our special guest of Joey Zero, who also secretly moonlights as everyday Gunpla. And yeah, today we're going to be talking about Universal Century Gundam. However, before we do that, we're going to go into housekeeping. So just off the start, just to remind everyone, we have timestamps and chapters allowing people to navigate to the section of the show that they're most interested in watching. And that's pretty much it for the housekeeping. Unless anyone else thinking of anything. Silence.
No?
No, so we're just going to go straight into the anime news with Nasuth.
Right, so Bandai Namco and Koei Tecmo announced they're releasing a Monster Rancher game later this year for the Switch with monsters based on the Ultra Kaiju from the Ultraman series. So that's kind of
What?
What Ultra Kaiju? I know, right? Yeah.
No, not that. Like Monster Rancher game.
Yeah.
With
Kaiju.
Okay.
You're gonna be taking care of the Kaiju. It sounds really cute. It sounds really adorable.
This sounds like Monster Hunter, except for you're nice to the Monster Hunters. Sorry,
yeah.
the monsters.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've always thought about Monster Rancher. Okay. So I didn't tell Yi about that yet, but I'm sure she's going to be excited. There's a new trailer for Stone Ocean Part 2 with a release date of September 1st for Netflix and October 7th for Japan. There's a whole. Honestly, I kind of padded this story out. There's a whole boatload of people returning from the previous series arcs, including Kenichi Suzuki as chief director, who was also the chief director for parts 1 through 3, which are obviously everyone's favorite. Toshiyuki Kato, series director for Diamond is Unbreakable, and as the regular director, and Shunichi Ishimoto, who was the chief animation director for Golden Wind, as the stand designer, which I know Xeno's probably excited about.
Yeah.
Speaking of Netflix, they've laid off another 300 employees, which is about 3% of their current workforce. Good job, Netflix. Most of the layoffs were in America. Netflix says they plan to add another 1,500 jobs in the next 18 months, but are going to focus most of that on overseas development, especially in stuff like localization. So maybe they're trying to get more foreign stuff here, as well as get more stuff from here to foreign markets. I don't know. But it looks like they're also breaking into the game market because they now own 3 companies. Boss Fight Studios, Night School Studios, and Next Games, with jobs available in that sector, even though they don't have any currently in the main one. So, who knows what they're doing over there at Netflix? Another one, the official trailer for Trigun Stampede is available on Crunchyroll's YouTube channel. Did you guys? I sent that earlier in the text chat for I forgot about Joey, but did you guys watch that?
Yeah.
What did you? What did you?
Loz first.
I thought it looked badass.
Really?
Yeah. It's a sign of the times. It's not amazing. It could have worked worse. I know what you're going to say. It's going to be about the 3D animation movement of things. I don't. Think
No. The movement's fine. It's the character designs that I'm annoyed with. They're so bland and like there's no detail to them. This is from the. Yeah, that's true. Because I was going to say, this is from the same people that did, I always bring this up, Doro Hedoro. But that one had a lot of detail, like a ton of detail in it. And this one just felt like his coat had no detail, his body had no detail, his skin was just a solid piece, his hair looked limp and boring. I'm so annoyed with the character designs.
You look limp and boring.
Well, my arms are noodles.
Shots fired.
But I mean, as long if the story's good, I'm still willing to give it a try.
Oh, I think it's gonna be. I'm looking forward to it because I remember Trigun was one. I remember one of the first animes I watched with Drew back in the days of watching it till like 3 a.m.
Yeah,
that was good stuff. And oh my god, I have to watch that again.
The bit at the end with knives, taunting Vash felt very appropriate. So
I can't wait. I think it's gonna be good.
I mean, yes, it was university times, but Loz, why did you put up with my bullshit of watching anime until like 3 or 4 a.m?
I think we've talked about sort of the when do you get into anime, but you have to remember I had one VHS of Robotech, then didn't have anything for years and years and years, then was reintroduced in university about that time. So I was But
get
then
that.
also
I
the
take it
internet
all.
Streaming wasn't as good back then, or it wasn't.
Oh,
easy
it didn't
to find
exist.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like, why do you stay up until
someone's
3 in the
showing
morning
me
playing
this awesome
games?
anime stuff. I'm like, yes, show me
Yeah.
more.
Yep.
In terms of the Trigun Stampede trailer, I'm 50-50. The environmentals look incredible. The just like the work, like just the general characters just moving around, the vehicles moving around, looks really, really good. But I totally get what Nasuth is saying in terms of the coat. The thing that gets me the most is his prosthetic arm.
Yeah.
Because in the original, it was really hidden, the fact that it was a prosthetic arm. You just thought it was a glove, right? But in this, it's like we're not even going to bother trying to hide it. It's a prosthetic arm. And yeah.
It could just be for those shots, and there's a lot of shots where it does.
We don't exactly know what period this takes place in. It could be before the main series.
Yeah, but yeah. So I'm very much interested in things. So.
Yeah. And finally, here's one for the Gundam fans, since we're doing a Gundam episode. Gundam are releasing a set of paper puzzles based on models from Mobile Suit Gundam, Char's Counterattack, and Seed Destiny. The kits have around 300 pieces, with Char's Counterattack topping out at 373, and they go on sale this month, priced at 4,800 yen, or about $35 US. But I couldn't find, like, their site's kind of hard to navigate around, and I didn't see any of them in the English section, so I have no idea how much it'll be to like international shipping if anyone goes that route. But I think it's pretty cool. They looked. Oh, right. I actually have assets for this. Hang on.
I was gonna say we should probably get assets for like news articles.
Yeah. I do actually have assets for this one. If it'll switch over. I thought I did press the button.
Press the button bear. You press the button bear. Why are you pressing the button bear?
What if I go to small people? You think that'll do it?
Press the button bear. Press the button bear.
Wow,
Oh, no.
that's just completely wrong.
What?
Nasuth
What happened?
Nasuth broke it.
What's the asset working?
What? No!
So
None of them are working!
Go back.
Oh my god! Oh my god, what? Oh no! How?
This has got to 2 people. How have you put it to 2 people?
I don't know. These are your keyboard shortcuts.
Jog on. Trying to play me for shit.
Okay, let me maybe manually show.
This is why we can't have nice things. No. Put us in the small first, and then
Yeah.
Right, and then hit
know.
number 1. Right.
Oh my god.
So ignore Comey.
Ignore Comey, yeah.
Ignore Comey.
Comey is temporary.
Comey's for life.
Here's number 2.
Oh wow! New Gundam.
Yep.
And then here is number 3.
Oh, I guess that's the Char's Counterattack one. Classic.
And that's it. Yep, that's all the ones. That's all 3 of them.
I mean, I do like these, but is it for like, if you're allergic to plastic, here's paper versions of Gundam.
Who knows?
Probably.
Who knows? Who can say? Yeah. But they look really cool.
I'm curious to see, like, how are they going to keep people from just like scanning it and then making like 100
and then printing out their own
100 Gundams, just scanning it and then printing some other ones and cutting them out. And like, I'm curious as to what the goal is.
Make money.
People, they said it's like a puzzle rather than like, because Gunpla is like a kit. So I don't know if maybe there's another aspect to this that's not just putting together a model. Like you have to actually figure it out.
So there's like papercraft, right? Like you can
yeah.
You can like take a 3D model, even like one from like a game or something like that, and you can like use a program to basically make papercraft out of it. You print it, you cut it out, you glue it all together, and
yeah,
I've done that and I enjoy that and I appreciate that, but like I'm curious to see like how and why they're not like how are they not going to keep people from pirating that? I'm just
I don't think they are. I doubt these cost that much. and
Well,
they'll be for kids and just.
I mean, like,
Nasuth, scroll up.
Mhm.
$35 is like twice the cost of a high grade kit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quite expensive actually.
Yep. Who knows?
I mean, if that was like
So
$15, I'd be like, okay, yeah.
I'm just curious. I'm not saying that like I wouldn't enjoy putting one of those together.
Wait, that's the Japanese price though.
Yeah, it would be pretty much the same for international. Just you gotta add the shipping. No, honestly, it will be. If you want to get it from,
shipping.
huh?
That's if you ship it yourself.
Yeah, if they actually end up releasing, if they end up releasing this in the West, then you wouldn't have to worry about
if
shipping.
in the West and you buy it from a supplier in the West, it probably won't be $35.
Oh god, no, it'll be like so much more because
No,
the
it'll be
West
not.
is just crazy. Yeah, honestly, I think it will. Have you seen the UK cost of Nendroids?
Yeah, but that's
Lol.
Right, like you could get them for a quarter of the price from Japan, including shipping. It's ridiculous over here.
Right, well, I'm sure we can have an episode on the Great Nendroid Conspiracy, but that's not today.
Okay, fine. Won't make conspiracy. Right, so that's it for the news. Let's move into the topics. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about Universal Century Gundam. We had Joey on back in January, and we were talking about all
Was it
the
really that
alternate.
long ago?
Yeah,
It's been a
we were
while.
talking about.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we were talking about all the alternate universe stuff.
What?
Now
We did a little bit, yeah.
we're like
Yeah.
Gundam Wing. We talked about.
We talked about how there's a different
Steve,
timeline to the UC. Yeah.
Yeah,
We
Yeah.
did
anything that wasn't UC.
we did talk about UC stuff a little bit, but we kind of what we settled on was the fact that like there's so much UC content out there that like we could just do an entire episode just about that.
Yeah.
And
that's
then-
where we are.
And then I think Drew was like, "Well, why don't we do that?" And I was like, "Oh, actually, yeah, okay."
I think Loz was like, "No, I want to do that. We need to do that."
I think we were both like that.
Oh. So here we are now. Right. Okay. So I don't know where to start this. Here's a big one. What is UC Gundam?
Right, okay. So, UC Gundam, or Universal Century Gundam, is the main Gundam timeline and the original Gundam timeline from the original show, Mobile Suit Gundam, which was I think, off the top of it, I don't think it's full 52 episodes on the original run. I think it was like 48, because I think they cut it short. And then it did well when they started re-showing it, and it went into syndication, that kind of rubbish stuff. And that's when it did well, and obviously the toy kits did well. And since then, it's spawned more things before, after, so many more prequels, so many more things happening at the same time, and it's a massive, convoluted timeline of things happening with... It's just massive. It covers over 100 years of stuff, I think. More if you count the movie, the live-action movie, which we're not...
There's a live-action movie? Oh, God.
There is a live-action UC Gundam.
Why didn't you recommend that one to us?
I've not.
Why do you
seen
think?
it. I look at the Gundam in it, and I assume there's not a picture for you to have up there. It is awful. It is awful. And apparently, it's not even it that much, so it's just terrible. It's like it's back in the days before they knew even how to do like computer game movies properly. So, do you really think they can understand how to do giant robots well? No.
No, probably not.
Right.
Not
So,
this
what is UC though? What is important about this timeline? So, I'll just a quick thing. So, obviously, humanity. We've got Earth. It is the normal solar system as we have now, but humanity has now moved into space with improvements in technology. No, that's not it.
That's not it? Okay.
Humanity has now moved on. I think
That's not worth it.
Yeah, I'll show it to you later. Humanity now has technology to move into space easily, or more easier than we do now. They can get things off of Earth, which is the tricky and expensive part of moving in space, is that it's just really expensive to beat gravity over such a distance. But humanity is now millions of people now live in space around Earth. Key point to remember about different Gundam series. Sometimes like you go to Mars, sometimes you go to Jupiter or something. In the main Gundam timeline, primarily, especially in the main section of it, it's all really around Earth. I've never really talked to you guys about Lagrange points. Do you know what Lagrange points are?
Oh yeah,
No.
I think we mentioned them at
Really?
one point, but maybe not.
All these
Yeah.
colonies are basically fitted around Earth in sort of crazy orbits and distances and things.
Sorry, can you explain Lagrange points? Because I don't remember talking
Now
about
let's
this
get a
before.
diagram.
It's essentially like these stable points where the gravity sort of balances out and stuff.
And at those points, the key points, they come up a lot in the Gundam long-term shows when there's things with them moving, because those are set stable points for where a lot of colonies are. But so the key point is, there you go. So around the sun and the Earth.
So here's the Earth, and you've got Lagrange 1 and 2. And then in the Earth-Moon system, you've got 4, 5, and 3, 4, and 5.
In the assets, and so we can show everyone.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, there's no point in actually
us looking. Yeah. Anyway, so you've got colonies built around different places around the sun, the Earth, Moon, that kind of stuff. That's the sort of region around it we're dealing with. But people are now living on these space colonies, and there is a lot of strife and disparity between the people living on colonies and the rich people living on Earth, and there's conflict between them. And this has led, the starting trigger is that on one of these colonies, due to economies growing and shrinking and things, and people's success and things, a family, a group, an ideology has sprouted called Xeon, and they want independence for all the people living in space versus Earth. In fact, they're also led by a guy, I can never remember saying his name correctly, Xeon Daikun.
Xeon Zoom Daikun.
I always get the middle name. He actually was going to give an amazing speech where he wanted not only independence for space colonies, but he was going to push an ideology of not a peaceful ideology, that what we should move towards is getting everyone off of Earth, because Earth is like the cradle of humanity, and we need to look after Earth so that nobody lives on Earth, and it can just be left to look after itself and remain as something important for humanity, so that nobody should waste it. We can now live in space. We all need to live in space, and then we can progress as space noids, as the term.
Yeah.
And we will evolve in space once we're in this environment, once we're no longer being held down by gravity, into what are referred to as new types. And that is the central overlaying outline of the stuff of the premise that started all of this massively long timeline. And just for everyone's benefit, so obviously Joey's probably watched most of the stuff. I've watched most of the stuff, but just to give a benefit, I tried to get Drew and Nasuth to watch stuff this last week, and they have watched quite a few bits to catch up on random bits of the UC timeline. But I know that, so just to point out which shows, and these are shows that I think it's a good example of, if you wanted to get into UC, I'll start understanding UC timeline, what we talk about. This is the order of shows you should probably start watching, because it's like, well, where do I start in all these crazy shows? 8th MS Team is probably the easiest starting point to get into. Go watch that. After that, watch Gundam The Origin, which is what...
I'd say Origin is easier to get into than 8th MS Team.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe those two. I don't know. I was watching The Origin just when you guys were watching it, just to catch up on it again. I do feel it does be like... It doesn't like start by explaining space colonies or anything, and it does start throwing around ideas, and it's a few, like, an episode or two before you really know what's going on. So, I don't know, maybe. And then after that, I think Thunderbolt, pretty good, yeah?
Thunderbolt, really good.
Thunderbolt, which we'll get into talk. We'll be talking about these things in a minute. And then after that, I don't think they got into this because I really recommended it yesterday, but I would say 0083 Stardust Memory.
Yeah, I didn't end up watching that one or Unicorn. You missed War in the Pocket as well, but
yeah, well,
we'll get into that one.
War in the Pocket, I think Drew have points to say. It's not something I would recommend to everyone right away. But maybe, I guess. I mean, we'll see what you guys think about it. But it's something I would reserve personally. But I know that you guys were forced into anything to watch it. I'd rather watch 0083 than War in the Pocket, to be honest. Because W83 is kind of like a condensed Gundam series. It goes through all the peaks and the journey of a normal Gundam series in a small order. Because none of the ones I've recommended, if you've noticed, are actually the main sections of this timeline, which would be the Mobile Suit Gundam, Zeta, Double Zeta, V Gundam, or F91, all the major landmarks. I have not recommended them to watch because if you really want to get into it, you need to see those sort of things. Yeah, right. So that is an overview of it. So where do you guys want to start? Or Joey, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I feel that I like all.
You can explain a Gundam. What is a Gundam?
What is a Gundam?
What is a Gundam, Joey?
Totally. I'm so down. Okay, so as far as like the stuff that you've said, I agree with all those, like the ones that you've pointed out as far as like series that are easier to get into. I will say if you start out with the Origin, you're probably going to want to go back and rewatch it after you have forced yourself to sit through like the original series, just because there's so many references and stuff into it that you'll be like, ah!
Yeah, that's
But,
one of the problems with the UC timeline is that there's no real good point to start, and then once you start knowing things, you rewatch other bits of it that you rewatched, and you appreciate from bits before, the bits that come after. You know where a character's going to end up, or when you're now seeing where that character came from, or where the technology came from, or what did what when. It's the tricky thing.
Well, I mean,
As
wasn't the Gundam in not to get too far into it, but wasn't the Gundam in War in the Pocket the same one that they were working on sending to the main character in the original series?
See, the one on the screen here is the one the main character's Gundam, right? He gets so good he can't keep up with him, so it's designed to replace.
Okay, all right. Okay,
right, Joey, go.
Okay, so what is a Gundam? If you just in case, so we explained this pretty succinctly in the last time.
Sorry, I showed you. And what is a mobile suit?
So, what is a Gundam? What is a mobile suit? We explained this pretty succinctly, I think, last time that I was here. But just in case you missed it, the series Gundam was really groundbreaking, because prior to this we had like the super robot era, where it was just like giant robot, it flies and it blows shit up for some reason. It's just there. It is kind of this like it was kind of like Kaiju but robot. It was just kind of like, hey, it's magical big robot. And this series really kind of started approaching them in terms of like I guess kind of realistic machinery, where like they would actually like break down, and they had like you had like their weapons had ammo, and like there were explanations for some of the like mechanics and stuff.
More like actual tanks than magical girls.
Yeah, there's still there's still like there's still like magical MacGuffins, especially in UC. There's like, just kind of it's magic stuff. But so Gundams are like shall we say a very specific type of mobile suit. Mobile suits are like kind of more generally these like humanoid robots that are kind of used throughout the series.
Can I interject real quick?
Yeah.
Now, one thing that was in the Origins movies, not Gundam Origins, the Origins, was the fact that the Earth, the Noids, the Federation, they didn't really have mobile suits. They had like knockoff imitations. It was like the RX-76. Do you remember what I'm talking about, Loz?
Yeah, it's the ones that they fought on the moon. It's the ones, and if you really pay attention to it, you would notice they have big clunky back reactors. That what somebody looks at, the ones the owner making and saying this is rubbish. Look, it's got this giant reactor on the back, and the guy's I've compacted the reactor.
But what were they called, right? Because they weren't classified as mobile suits; they were classified as
they would come out classified. Because obviously, it was I think Binovsky who came up with the mobile suit theory, and they would call them mobile suits. It was his. In that, those were added just for that, by the way. They keep doing this. They keep adding more and more before like things were made. But it was his pupil that said these are not mobile suits.
Oh, that was it. But I thought one of the generals of Xeon called them something else as well, because like they were pathetic compared to.
Yeah, but you know the people who make them get to classify it.
Okay, fine. I remember you arguing, saying like those weren't mobile suits, but
yeah, that's because I'm taking the Xeon line off.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. So,
Xeon did nothing wrong.
Xeon did nothing.
Keep going.
Actually, I do kind of. For the most part, I do kind of. Sorry.
So in terms of Gundam specific stuff, in terms of the UC lore in particular, there is a lot of machinery out there that doesn't classify as mobile suit, like the what are they called, the mobile balls?
Balls,
yeah. And I mean, there's some like, I mean, same the what is it, like the gun tank, I think was like not considered a mobile suit prior to the creation of
gun
mobile suits.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's this whole idea that like it's kind of, I guess, it's kind of built around the idea that like machinery that is a little more humanoid is a little, shall we say, more effective,
more mobile for one thing.
Yeah. So that's that's that. There are all kinds of different mobile suits, just because again, the series kind of, once they started to see success with it, the original series kind of became like Mech of the Week. And then after that, like each series has like a bunch of like different mobile suits, and pretty much has like new mobile suits that they've added. And why did they do that? Why did they decide to color the Gundams primarily? Like, have all of them be a little bit of white, blue, red, and yellow in different things? Why was that? Pop quiz.
Because
Iconography?
I think I remember, but yeah.
It was to sell toys.
Yeah. No, there's more to it than that. I can't remember what it was. I remember
Because of the primary colors.
You said why. No, they actually were going to be darker. The Gundam was going to be darker colors. I can't remember. I think it was just make it more of a appealing, interesting toy.
Yeah, because they're bright primary colors.
Yeah, but then they took the darker version and then
they put those into Gundam Wing.
Like the one before the RX-78-2 is the darker because that's the reason why.
Yeah, but yeah. What is that? Is that from Char's Counterattack?
Yes. Yep. That's the. Is that? The...
It is, because I pulled from it. I pulled it myself.
Oh, it's a. Is it a Rigsy? I think it's a Rigsy.
Hmm.
It's the mass production Zeta unit.
Okay.
I think it's a Rigsy. I think that's what it's called. I probably got that name completely wrong. Yeah.
I'll take your word for
it.
it.
They didn't make many of them. Right.
Mass production.
Well, that's actually something I was
Yeah.
going to say about the what a Gundam actually sort of means in the show, because as Naz was bringing up Gundam Wing, in Gundam Wing it's very cut that Gundams are made of Gundanium, which is like super metal that's invincible. In the original UC timeline, the original Gundam is made out of, I think, called lunar titanium or something.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's good. But the Gundam normally is a prototype, and then they make mass productions from them, and the mass productions are called, most of them are called GMs, which is Gundam mass production. So the Gundam is kind of like, this is a concept, we're going to make it as massive and amazing as possible, and then they make.
I did not know that's what GM stood for.
Oh.
Now you know.
I was just now today I learned.
I just love calling them GMs though. GMs just such. Exactly. Yeah, it's like why are they called GMs? Gundam mass production. Yep. There we go. So. Did anything I got you guys to watch have GMs in it?
I think so. Maybe 8th MS Team?
8th MS Team had GMs in it.
Yeah.
Yes, GM head.
Yeah.
And there was there was like a GM Sniper, and that was like a big thing.
Yes.
That was
so many variants, there's so many toys. Anyway, so obviously I've gotten these two to watch. So let's head over to Xeno and Nasuth a bit now. And so they've only recently, I think they saw before this week, you've watched 8th MS Team, and then not really anything else for UC. You've now been exploded upon through all the lore, politics, amazingness that is bits of the UC timeline. So do you guys what's your experience so far, and what does it mean to you? What have you discovered?
Xeon did nothing wrong. I really sympathize with Xeon, because they just want to be free, man. They just want to be free.
You what?
They just want to be free. Earth shouldn't be holding them back like this.
You can't just say something like that.
If Earth just let them be free, they wouldn't have had to fight for their independence. You know? Yeah.
That face from Joey.
Yeah.
Okay, so but beforehand, what did you guys know? And now you've watched these key bits which show things. How do you what? How does it seem to you now? I mean, obviously before it must have seemed this like unimpenetrable. Where do you attack this crazy timeline? And now obviously you've been forced to get bits and pieces. Oh yeah, here's Stardust memory. You should watch that. What have you? How do you feel now? Do you know what does it seem different now? Tell me a bit about. Apart from yes, okay, Nasuth, we accept Xeon for you. You should get a new avatar.
Move Zig for great justice.
With a Xeon uniform on.
Yeah.
One of the things that I really appreciate about the UC timeline is the fact that there's it feels that at least the stuff that we've watched with Thunderbolt I think is amazing, that there's no clear definition of who is the good guy, who is the bad guy, right? It's very much a case of it's war is the bad guy. We are telling the story of these people in the trenches or space trenches.
Yeah, that's something that I didn't expect. Sorry, yeah, go ahead, finish. Sorry.
Yeah, and like I very much appreciated that. There was also the Goonies adventure, which I'll get into more later. But I very much, oh god, what was it? I'm trying to remember, because the Origins is very much the story from what's going on with Xeon.
Yeah.
Right? And Stardust Memory, there's so much of what's going on with the Federation.
Have you watched Stardust Memory?
Not all of it. I was only able to watch about half of it, and right. I do enjoy it. There's like some characters that I just want to punch in the neck and just go, oh, he died. Oh, I mean, just fell over, just stopped breathing. But yeah, so, and then, yeah, out of, the problem is that I watched 8th MS Team so long ago, I still recollect that that's probably the easiest point to get into Gundam to begin with.
It's a very classic, star-crossed lover military story.
But not only that, it doesn't feel like you have to have all this knowledge beforehand. And it really teaches you the fundamentals of the mobile suits and everything that you need in order to truly understand the value of everything else.
Can we
the
just
value
was sorry to interrupt you. I just love that background, that 1980s.
Yeah.
Super detailed internals. I freaking love those are the days. Sorry, back to 8th MS Team.
But yeah, so it teaches you the fundamentals of the mobile suits, not their true value, so that when you do come into something like the Origins, you get the true value of them already having some basic concept of what it means to have a mobile suit, which I actually really appreciated. I could appreciate the Origins so much more that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah? Nasuth, how did you feel about that? Because I think you watched it in the same order.
No, I watched Origins first and then 8th MS Team.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how did you find? Because
I wanted a grounding in the setting, and Origins gave me a grounding in here's everything that leads up to the conflict between Earth and Xeon, and that let me get into now I can look into how the technology in this world works, and 8th MS Team was really good for that because like you said, it does give you a grounding in stuff that's not just. The Gundam is the be-all and end-all. But now I already know how the mobile suits came about as weapons because I've seen Origins. I've seen how they came about as weapons. So I know why they're so important now for the Earth to be working on stuff like their own production line for the 8th MS Team and the other teams. So something I should have expected, but I didn't, was just how much it's focused around military life. In Wing, it was the politics. It was really just the politics, and the fights were cool, but they didn't have the same. It was more like an action movie, whereas these are more like Saving Private Ryan or something, where you're really deep in that military lifestyle. You've got your commanders and your chain of command and all this stuff to worry about. It's not just we're gonna go in and fight bad guys. Bad guy of the week.
I will say that there is each series kind of tackles this with a little bit with
sure yeah.
Each series is like it kind of comes at this a little bit differently, but some of these series, especially like the 8th MS Team, and I mean there were a couple other ones that I've seen that really kind of drove this home. But like as you were watching it, you could really kind of feel this environment that the characters were in, where like. They would get in trouble if they didn't make their bed if they woke up, and you know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. That kind of military, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, some series just don't really touch on that. You just see kind of these really like high profile military figures like interacting with each other on the battlefield, off the battlefield, whatever. But also just to kind of drive home one thing that Xeno said a minute ago, One thing that I'd like to just go ahead and put this out there because we covered it in the last like Gundam episode, but one thing that's been a much bigger thing in Gundam series ever since Gundam Wing, and again, varying degrees, but in pretty much every Gundam series, it can all be evaluated from the standpoint that anyone is the bad guy.
Yeah.
They're I think it again, it's kind of varying degrees because sometimes it's a big like story point to consider that your enemy's convictions are no less than yours if you're on a battlefield or whatever. But again, so there was in terms of like Gundam and then like going back like the original Gundam series and then going back and watching the Origins. The original Gundam series, Zeon was definitely the bad guy, and then going back and watching the Origin, you kind of saw like it's almost like Zeon was the good guy for a lot of that, and the Federation were
they just wanted their freedom. Yeah.
But that's in kind of evaluating all of this conflict and how everyone's morals come into it. That tends to be like one of the big like recurring themes through all the Gundam series, and it happens a lot in UC as well. But I think that's some important kind of context to frame some parts of this discussion in.
Yeah, no, I can completely appreciate that. And we're talking about like good entry points, some bad entry points, right? Like, apart from, I think 8th MS Team was the only thing of the UC I had watched, bar one episode of Unicorn, right? But I watched Hathaway, the first Hathaway movie, and I couldn't fucking understand what the shit was going. And Loz was like, "Oh, did you understand it?" I was like, "There was something to understand." It was like, "Yeah, you should watch all this other stuff first." And like, I completely, I completely agree with it. So there are definitely bad points to start with. Char's counterattack. Definitely don't start there.
No.
Yeah, if you don't know who Char is, that's not going to make any sense.
No. What's the point of watching a film called Someone Counterattack if you don't remember why is he counterattacking in the first place?
Yeah. Okay. So, does anyone want to pick on any series in particular to talk about?
Well, I was going to talk about some of the themes for Gundam.
Sure. Yeah, let's do that stuff first.
And the first one, obviously, to lead on from what you guys were saying there, which is obviously, I will say that the original series was what villainous thing have Zeon concocted this week for our heroes to fight and blow up with their Gundam? It's got a tail. I'll show you.
Wasn't it like late 70s or early 80s when original Gundam came out?
So I think it's like mid 70s.
Mid 70s, mid 80s.
I'm damn well sure it's 70s. I can press this magic button. Watch as it doesn't work.
Magic unworking buttons. 1979. Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, that kind of makes sense. A lot of, I don't want to rag on anime, but a lot of shows back then didn't have the most complicated storylines.
Yes.
There is.
I'll find it for you later. There is one model kit which is just absolutely, what the hell is this mess? I can't remember what it's called, but it's just
There is a series of movies which is Gundam Origins, isn't there? Which I think is supposed to abbreviate.
Well, I've never heard them called. I think maybe that's just a tagline for the trilogy of movies, as in Mobile Suit Origin, because they've got individual names. I think they're called the movie, Soldiers of Sorrow, and Encounters in Space.
Right, because I saw them on Netflix and they were called Gundam Origins 1, Gundam Origins 2, Gundam Origins 3.
Oh, I should go watch those.
So, and because I thought, this must be the Origins. It wasn't.
No, yeah. I mean, there are some key points in there because there's like, but then lead other stuff in. So yeah, so we've got it there. There's the original Gundam, and obviously there's a lot of cool things that happen, and that is the main key point of the main timeline. This is the first war, which is the first first Zeon war, and there's some good stuff in it. Like if I say the Battle of Abaku is like a really pivotal point at the end of the war, and there's like so many different things which I could show you which have a different angle of the Battle of Abaku, but obviously nothing have I showed you does even touches on the Battle of Abaku. So yeah, a bit It's hard to find. Yeah, you could just watch this to get a overview, which, you know, at some point, I guess, if you wanted to get fully into UC, you do need to at least like go watch the main movies and things. But I wouldn't advise. I don't think even. I know I've not even watched the original Gundam series as episodes. It's just not me. Just
Wow.
That's 56.
It was really hard to watch, honestly. Like I'm somebody, and I mean, you know, everybody's got their preferences. So I don't know, but I'm somebody that like I have a hard time. Like I just don't really like animation from that period. It
depends. If it's a lot of times if it's TV animation, then yeah, you're gonna run into some really rough stuff.
It just doesn't really appeal to me.
Yeah, I understand that.
But it was, I mean, it was difficult to sit through. But I think we're in this fun place where there are so many other stories that can kind of introduce you to it, and especially so many other stories that, like, if you're not enjoying one, if you're like watching, maybe, you know, you've watched a couple of Gundam series and you decide, oh, okay, I've heard good things about this one, I'm going to watch it. You get 2 or 3 episodes in, and then you're like, I'm not really feeling this, but I still want to consume what's here. Then you could drop it, go watch another series, and then come back. Like, there's so much content out there that you can do that quite easily. And then, you know, there's also like Spark Notes type like YouTube channels and stuff.
Of course. Which
are, you know, those are worthwhile, and I think that they even if you haven't seen a lot of UC, those can be good for like contextualizing some of the stuff as you're watching it. Like in Unicorn, they've got this whole big thing where they're like, okay, well, let's go to all the places that all this bad stuff happened, and there's a lot of context there from a lot of the previous stories, but also like if you've never seen it before, you can watch it, and then like if you go back and watch like Char's Counterattack after that, you'll be like, because I watched them in that order. If you go back and watch Char's Counterattack after that, you'll be like, it's the asteroid with the
it's Axis.
Yeah, but there's so much content out there that I think even so we were talking about like with Gundam that they've tried so many different things and there's so much different stuff that there's really something to be there's something to fit just about every palette. And I'd say UC is a little slimmer, but it's also like it has a lot of that. If you prefer something that's like just action pretty much, or if you know, like the 8th MS team, like Star-Crossed Lovers type thing, or if you prefer kind of the like more of like the political aspect of it, there's like specific things you can watch there. And then
even though War in the Pocket was one of my, you know, less favorite ones, I can see value in it because you get this guy living in enemy territory trying to, you know, it's another good story.
So I don't know. I hope I'm not like butting in.
No.
I hope I'm not like cutting you guys off with.
No, I'm bad at cutting other people off. In fact, so
I want to railroad this. I want to talk about War in the Pocket now.
But that's what I was trying to lead into. So let me go back to what I was trying to segue into for you, Xeno. And that was, let's talk about some themes. And I was saying, you're saying there wasn't any good guys or good bad guys. And one of the key things of the Gundam shows is that war sucks and it's pointless. And it does at its core. You might be like, oh, it's to sell kids toys about guns and it's all this. It's like, at the end of the day, everyone loses in most of the scenarios. And it does show that, you know, not like pacifism's the way forward, but just that it does actually have at its core an anti-war stance on a lot of them. So one of the best examples I find for this, and that's why I got them to watch it, was Mobile Suit Gundam 0080 War in the Pocket. And I'll introduce this again in the show. I don't know if we can have particularly that in the background. I've got images for it.
We should do.
So War in the Pocket is towards the end of the first big war. It's where a lot of the UC stuff is set. There was loads later, but this is, you know, there's so much stuff for the 1 year war, the key war at the start. And it starts off, as you can see here, this is where there's a base on Earth, and a ship gets launched from this, and it goes to a colony, and then these Zeon troops have to go to this colony to complete a secret mission to blow up whatever it was in the ship that's on the colony. And that's just the key thing of it. It's some Zeon troops going on a special mission, going to colony, blow up some stuff, and hijinks ensue when they fail their mission and only one person's left, called Pervy. And then he has to just recruit with what he can find to try and complete the mission he was assigned before bad stuff happens. So, Xeno, do you want to expand on that at all, or do you want to say anything about this?
it's okay. So first off, I want to give it credit where credit's due. This was done at 89. I genuinely thought this was like 93, 94 with really ham animation. But I know it deserves more credit than that because for the like how crisp the animation is for 89, it's actually a pretty damn decent animated show. For those of you who have listened to it or watched it in the English dub, Bernie is acted by David Hayter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you must have loved that.
I did, and I also hated it. Right? So it's really interesting because this is side. I can't remember what.
Yeah.
Is it 4?
It's not where the war has been happening much.
No, because like so here's something that we've kind of glazed over is all the colonies are called side a number.
Yeah,
Xeon originates from side 3.
The sides linked to the Lagrange points.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That was not explained in the origins.
No, it doesn't because it doesn't want to sit down and bog you down
That's fine.
with things like
Here are Lagrange points, and this is speed. This is how speed of light works. Yeah.
That's fine.
That's for Gunbuster to do.
Yeah, Gunbuster.
Whereas the first Gundam was built on side 7, right? Which is on the opposite side of the Earth. And what's it called? Side 5
It's
was
side
the
6.
one. Is it side? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Side 5 was the one that was used in Operation British. If you remember when we spoke about that
Well, I was
in the
going
original.
that, yeah, but
Okay. Well, no, fine. We'll glaze over that. But this is side 6, so this is another colony entirely. And yeah, so they have remained neutral throughout the whole thing. However, Xeon and the Federation are up to hijinks in the shadows of this colony, and this little kid called Alfred is right smack dab in the middle of it.
Mm.
And I fucking hate him.
Yeah, but that's not because
but at no point in time does the school ring up his mum and go, yeah, your son hasn't turned up to school again.
Yeah.
Is everything okay? Right? He turns up to the school is destroyed. And it's just like, the school's been destroyed? It's like, well, you would know that if you fucking turned up to school, wouldn't you? Right? But apparently no one gives a shit. I like it. I call this one a Goonies adventure.
This is something that would happen a lot in Japanese movies and TV shows and stuff. There was even all the way back to, so there was in Mystery Science Theater 3000, there was one called Prince of Space and another one called like Invasion of the Neptune Men, and it was just filled with this kind of character. Invasion of the Neptune Men was a whole group of them instead of just one. It's terrible. Children should not be allowed in movies.
No, but that's not the problem I have with it. It's the fact that this is supposed to be such a serious thing.
Yeah.
This kid is somehow just in the middle of it, just thinking it's, a mini adventure. And it's just like, kid, you got the wrong end of the stick here. Go home.
Can I just say,
Right.
relative to, so this, I think is, I think, how do I put this? Yes, it's a serious thing, and yes, there's a kid, like, just there, just being like, hey, big brother, what are you doing? Hey, like, just being really annoying.
It's worse than that.
But so Iron-Blooded Orphans and the whole thing with, like, child soldiers and stuff, both War in the Pocket, what I've seen of it anyway. I haven't actually finished it, I'm sorry. I started it, and then I know it's really short, but I didn't really got a chance. But anyway,
Don't worry.
With like Iron-Blooded Orphans and the fact that like these are child soldiers, and like the whole idea of child soldiers in general is like it's really bad. Like it's really like not great to think about that happens.
Yeah.
It reminds me of this one. I'm not gonna get like religious or political or anything, but it reminds me of this one like I used to do a bunch of like volunteer work and stuff at a church, and we had this like Sunday service for these like little kids, and they were doing a thing about like basically to raise awareness of some like mission thing in like Africa where there were these child soldiers, and they put up these were all like little kids, like 5, 6. They put up an image of like a kid with like a rifle, and every child that was there was like, "Whoa!
Yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah!" And then the teacher was like, "No, this is actually not good." But I don't know. It kind of reminds me of that. I guess there's maybe something a little bit lost in translation there.
That's absolutely perfect. So
I was going to try and bring that up too. Yeah.
Spoilers for a sec.
Okay.
So obviously, I'm just going to ruin this for Joey because there's no spoilers.
Try that again. There we go.
See, I told you. See, Drew, you have some buttons. Sometimes you have to click several times. You moan at me for it. It's like, yeah, sometimes you got to click lots. Anyway, so Drew, Joey, I assume you don't mind about if I spoil War in the Pocket for you. He's muted.
Let's like, go ahead and spoil it for me. It's not like it came out last week. Like it's
okay. Yeah, it's true. Okay, so that is that thing you've got there with like the kids as in it's like, whoa, it's got a gun. That's exactly the mentality we've got of our main character. And you actually get this throughout the show with his best friend as well. They care about mobile suits. Oh yeah, and war, it's so cool. And the kid learns the futility of war because the central premise of it. Sorry, I'm spoiling it. The Bernie, who is the last man standing to complete the special mission, he realizes he's got to blow. Yeah, Xeon Remnant, who has to blow up, complete the mission. He has to blow up a Gundam on the colony. He gets the information that if he doesn't complete this task, Xeon are going to nuke the colony. So he has one Zaku, one Heat Hawk, and some scraps like some bombs and things, and he has to try and blow up what's the Gundam Alex.
A heavily guarded facility.
Completely. Yeah, a heavily guarded facility. And if he thinks if he doesn't complete his task, that everyone's going to die, so he has to do it. He actually succeeds in this mission, but dies in the process. But then it turns out that the ship that was going to nuke it had already been caught and wasn't. You know, the war was basically then there. I don't know if I can't remember now if the war ends or if the ship that was going to nuke the place gets destroyed or caught or something. So it was everything that Bernie did. He sacrificed himself to do this to save the colony, and it was all for nothing. He didn't even need to do it. He could have just sat there and stared at the wall, and the colony still would have been saved. But he was so desperate.
And the kid would have still had his friend.
Colony. Yeah, to save his friend, to save this kid that he learned about, and obviously there's the girl as well, who sadly was the girl piloting the Alex that kills him. And then you get the end scene, or the end scenes, where the girl asks the kid, you know, oh, do you know who that guy is? You know, he was kind of cute, you know, and she doesn't know that she's already killed him. And then you get the scene, I think is the final shot, one of the final shots, when at the school, and the little kid's friend sees him crying, and he says, "Don't worry, there'll be another war soon." And it's like it's showing you that how this you know the futility of war, how this kid has almost been like matured before he's even, you know, his childhood's been ruined by this. He's not even allowed to have his complete childhood. He's, you know, seen his friend die to achieve nothing basically, and realize just how futile this all is. And that's what the message was trying to get across. And I think was it Joey? You had that thing about the kid. That's exactly right. Yep. That's how kids are supposed to be. And then you get this kid who he has that shattered for him. You know, he's not even allowed that innocence anymore because he's now understands the futility of all this, and it's just I think it ends with him just crying.
Yeah.
There you go. So that's
he is the most annoying part, but there's a payoff for it.
That's the thing. But I know he's annoying, but he's supposed to be a kid, and it is
exactly.
Kid, and you're like, he's exactly what he's supposed to be.
Yeah, so again, I haven't finished it, but that absolutely is a concept that they've driven home really well with a lot of the imagery and like branding around the show, specifically like the stingers, but like between commercial breaks and stuff. Like if you see that once, you're like, okay, I know what this is gonna be.
come buy our amazing toys. By the way, war is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That all for spoilers, or are we?
No.
No, stay in them. Okay.
Yeah, because like the problem I have with this. So, basically, Bernie got the news that because his team has failed to destroy
the Alex,
that they're gonna
kill everybody. Just kill the entire colony. Yeah. No. Oh, you're talking about that. Okay. Yeah.
But he's gonna leave. He's gonna leave them behind. He pulls he tells Alfred, he tells the little kid, like, you need to leave. They're going to nuke, so on and so forth. I mean, how the fuck is the kid going to leave? He can't, go up to an aircraft, sorry, the spaceport and just go like, can I have one ticket to not here, please? Right? So Bernie goes to a bar. He sees another woman who very much resembles what was her name? Chris?
Yeah, Chris.
Yeah. And goes, hey, I feel bad now. I better go and stop this from happening. And then he very he very successfully employs all these tactics to actually fight is it the Gundam Alex or Alex Gundam?
Gundam Alex.
No, and he tries all these different tricks and things, and he's pretty successful, but it turns out it's all for naught because the ship was already caught, and Alfred decided to effectively get off the train that his parents were on and run all the way to the battlefield to scream futilely that, you don't need to fight. And so Bernie ends up sacrificing himself for nothing. The most frustrating part was the fact that Bernie turned around and had a recording that said, here's all the evidence that you need to prove that Xeon were doing this.
Xeon, yeah. That's the one point. It's like, why doesn't Xeon just hand himself over to the Earth Federation and say, I'm a spy
because
from
they'll
that
never
current
believe
mission.
me.
You killed everyone else. Here's the evidence. Can just to let you know, you may get nuked shortly. I'm just handing this over to you, please.
I think he didn't want to become a prisoner of war.
That's the
only explanation I can think of.
You could have fucking handed it in, right, and left. It's like, oh yeah, can you?
Yeah, but no one would believe him then. No one would believe it. I mean, it's Xeon misinformation.
It's guys are they already got.
If he's willing to die for this, that's become the deathbed confession.
Well, I mean, they're fucking. And it's all this little kid's fault. Fucking blame him. Little fucking shit. I hate him. I fucking hate Alfred so much. He's such a pain in the ass.
Also, I refuse to believe his real name is Alfred.
Well, considering the school doesn't give a flying fuck that the kid's not even in the bloody school, I'm not surprised he's called Alfred. He's clearly, gearing up to be butler to Bruce Wayne.
Right. Space Batman.
Space Batman.
Space Batman.
Right. So obviously this is this is the reason I wanted to show it is that most people might think that Gundam, maybe in the main timeline is just a thing for selling toys. There's obviously a lot more depth to it, and this is one example of it, of how it's telling a bigger narrative, and it's got bigger themes going.
War stories. War stories. Yeah.
War bad.
It's a nice little contained sort of thing of it. So yeah, that's a good example for that. Right.
Cool.
You got that, Xeno. You've been waiting on that.
Oh, God, I have. I want to move on to something good.
Right.
Oh,
go for it.
What would? Oh, yeah, Thunderbolt. Yeah, that's the one.
Thunderbolt. I want to talk about Thunderbolt.
Actually, I haven't seen Thunderbolt.
Thunderbolt, really good.
Thunderbolt is actually
doing yourself
really
a disservice there, Joey.
It is really good. So there's effectively there's 2 seasons as well as 2 movies, but the movies are basically the seasons that are just wrapped up together, sort of thing. So it's just one continuous thing. The movies are dubbed, the seasons are not. And it's December Sky is the first one, and Bandit Flower is the second one. So because that's not labeled fecking anywhere. The series really heavily focuses on both sides of trench-based combat, right? Especially the first season. And it's honestly fantastic. I love the whole thing about this, where effectively you have a team of... God, what were they called? The Xeon team, sorry.
It was wasn't it LD Living Dead?
Living Dead, that was it.
Living Dead.
So these were veterans who were amputees because they'd been fighting the war for a long time, and they lost limbs and things, and they were a special platoon that was kind of treated a bit like trash, but they were brilliant at what they did. I think they were all snipers. I think they all were.
I know they were all doing that, at least in the opening like scene scenario thing.
Okay,
I don't know if they all were always.
Yeah, I think they mostly were, but the reason why, because of it, is this is a bit of I think it doesn't really show much of it, but it's the dichotomy between how the Earth Alliance and Xeon are working. Xeon are, I think, at this point in the war, kind of on the back foot because they are limited in what they've got, and Earth just has mad amount of resources for spamming stuff out. And if you're in the Earth Alliance and you get injured, you can just get sent back to Earth, and they can just look after you now. There's actually an abundance of resources on Earth, and there's a lot less people on Earth right now after, we'll get back to Operation British in a sec. But so that's what we dealt with. But for Xeon, they don't have that luxury. Some really interesting scenes of how they deal. They just have to amputate people's limbs at points in this. It's really brutal.
Yep.
And I really liked seeing some of the stuff they had for like dealing with amputees in a zero-G environment, where they've got, I think as I recall, it's just like sort of like a bubble over the limb, the missing limb. I just remember there's this corridor scene where it's just people floating, missing limbs, and just they've got things to stop them bleeding out. It's really brutal. But obviously then, so Xeon still wanted to do something with these people. They're obviously really patriotic, and so they're all snipers because they put them into machines which could do things normal people can't, because they can just plug them straight into the machine.
Yeah.
No,
that came later. Yeah.
That come later. Well, I think there's not. I think they don't say. I think there's a little bit of it to start with, but then they go further into it later.
Yeah, so
Xeon is so. I mean, there's something I didn't really touch on for the thing. So the original Gundam series, the Xeon side were pretty much an allegory for World War II, sort of a bit combining, the German side and the Japanese side. They're designed to be bad guys. You can see this in some of the basic stuff, like the uniform design, the rifle design, things like that. And obviously, this is expanding to go. Give them more depth, give them more things. But the other thing to do with it is it bleeds into some of the other stuff, which I haven't got to show you guys, to do with things like how they produce mobile suits later on. And there's you never really see this in the show, but it comes in the manga and things where, so just for the let's say the bad guys in World War II, they were great at producing. They produced like 17 of a tank, but it'd be the most base tank ever, and then they make another tank. They weren't great at mass producing things, and then also when they make a new tank, they'd make all new bits for that tank, so there was no common parts. So this is why. So the Xeon side is very much doing all these experimental stuff all the time. And it's only later in the war they start doing. It's got like a name, it's like the Unified Mobile Suit Theory or something, where they tried to have like bits and pieces between the different things they could swap around, so they could like fix this Zaku by taking bits from this. Gelgoog and things like that, but that's why they have all this stuff on that side. It's the
So basically we also have the human side of things, where we have an ace pilot who I don't know if it's like the first assault on the snipers. I can't imagine it is, because they know that they're there, they just don't know where the snipers are hiding. And in the assault, effectively, one of the Federation pilots sneaks his way into the
entrenchment, sniper post.
Yeah, and basically takes all the snipers off guard, and they have to flee. And actually commandeers one of the enemy mobile suits, and he earns this post, which basically grants him access to a Gundam called the Full Armor Gundam. And the sad thing that happens is that he is pretty much I'm trying to put the order of my words in my head in the right way. He's pretty much the only survivor every time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. He's got some very thick plot armor.
Very, very thick plot armor. He's very skilled at what he does. But at one point in time, they actually send kids, right, to go be meat shields
Mm-hmm.
while they're trying to perform an operation. And
Whose side's this on? I forget.
this is the Federation side.
Yeah.
They're just sending kids, and they're just dying. They don't have their heads on. They got no experience.
Normandy.
They got no leadership.
Are they just strapped in a GM and sent off to fight? You mean?
Pretty much.
Wow. Okay.
So
That's so
and-
wasteful because by the end they're just shoving people into balls and sending them off, which is even worse.
But I think there was like one Zaku that ends up shredding half the platoon because they just can't get their shit together to begin with. I don't want to really go into any of the plot of the second movie. Again, the second movie is really, really good. The only
But there is like a lot of you can get into the themes a little bit. Like there's a lot of the patriotism and the rabid worship of a what is that called when you got a really charismatic political leader. Cult of personality. That's the one. Yeah. Like
Sorry,
they really
what?
get it.
Personality?
Cult of personality.
Okay.
They've got a literal cult of personality in this. But yeah.
It's really, really good. The sad thing is there's no third movie.
Mm.
And I genuinely don't know if there's going to be a third movie.
Is there a season 3?
No.
Oh.
At least not yet. But the thing is, the first movie came out in 2016 and the second movie came out in 2017.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure. You might think it needs it, but I don't think it. What really to tell?
Just like, all the stuff to do with the Federation.
Yeah,
right? Okay, so
that's-
the Xeon side of the narrative was pretty much closed off, right? But the Federation side was left massively open.
In what way? Should we start spoilers on or?
Oh
yeah, here's that. Look at that.
Okay, so I am gonna. If you are interested in seeing this,
Yeah, go for it. Oh yeah.
What's it called? Please skip the spoilers. I'm giving you opportunity to skip the spoilers, but now we're going to talk about actual plot elements, right? So, final warning: skip if you don't want to hear it. So, in the the plot for the Federation is the fact that the whole cult is created because they had one new type that they engineered in a lab basically escape, and he's brainwashing everyone. That was the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
I can't remember that.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's at the very end
It's
of the movie.
literally the end of the movie. They're like,
The Federation
and
has
that
a cyber
guy-
type in the 1 Year War.
Yes.
yeah, but he
But
escaped.
he escapes, and then he
It's-
creates this cult.
It's
and
the
then
old woman. They've got
he's-
like a bunch of new types or something on her ship, and she gives them all incense burners when they quote unquote graduate, and that becomes
Yeah.
the symbol of the cult.
Right. And then basically he is brainwashing everyone, literally, like telepathically, to become part of the cult.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
that's
really?
how he's and then that's how he's able to get things like he ends up getting the Saikuzaku from the Xeon scientist that built it,
Yes. Yeah.
because he mind controls the Xeon scientist.
Because they were all
Well,
like, it'll be terrible if he gets a hold of that, and then he gets a hold of it.
Yeah.
I will.
But we never see
make-
the conclusion to any of this.
Well, I'll make you guys happy in that the manga is still running, and it was released 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, 22, there's been 2 and 22 already.
So
Wait.
maybe.
Oh, sorry, one isn't even been released yet. One's coming out on the 18th of October. I don't know if that's going to be the last of it, but so they'll probably wait for that to finish.
Should we take off the spoilers?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, spoilers.
yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot that completely. Yeah, so obviously maybe in the future we will get a Gundam Thunderbolt. I know this did very well and it's very popular. So I just want to say, would you say this is a better start point, or would you say this is not a good start point?
No.
No,
the problem
no,
with
no.
this is you don't have a fundamental understanding of who Xeon are, who the Federation are, what's the deal with the fighting, what's the deal with the Gundams, things like that. You need at least to have the origin before this.
I guess taken in a vacuum, it could still be an interesting sci-fi movie, because it does still have, and it is gorgeous with the way they use the music and the art pieces and everything. But you're right, you're gonna miss a lot of the deeper meanings if you just watch it.
Yeah. So, like, you know, what is the value of the Gundam? What is the value of the war? You know, why are they?
What is a new
fighting?
type?
Yeah. What is a new type? So on and so forth.
What's at stake?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, you definitely can't start at this, but this is something that I really feel anyone getting into Gundam, this will be a good motivator to keep going.
Right. Okay. So once you've got a grounding, you know what's what. You know, you can identify a Zaku. You can start watching this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because like I watched this, and then you were like, oh, I suppose you could watch Stardust Memory, and was like, but will it be my Thunderbolt? I don't know. So I was just like, okay, I'll keep watching. Just keep watching. And
so now we got to start Reconquista, right? And
fuck off.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Joey, have you seen Reconquista in G? Good man. Keep it that way.
What is it? What is it? Please tell me so that I can
hate yourself.
No, actually, so fun facts. Xeno and I, we have opposite tastes in anime usually.
We really do. Yeah,
the ones that he hates, I love, and the ones that I love, he hates.
So it's quite funny because Joey will recommend me stuff, and I really like it, and then it says like, yeah, I had no interest in it. I just thought it was up your alley. And I'm like, oh.
Well, I know you like the mech design in Reconquista, Xeno, so we'd love to see Joey see it and see if he can. Seriously, Joey, I can't make. I've started watching that show like 5 times, and I can't get past like episode 7. My brain just turns off, and it just goes into the meltdown mode.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
It's like if Cat Soup, which is not a Gundam, and Turn A had a baby.
Ooh.
Yeah. Turn A's awful.
Anyway, back to UC.
Yes, yeah.
Otherwise, I'll start telling you about. Oh god, what's I want to tell you about?
Gundam
X. X is one of the best Gundam series, but it got cut short. It's really good. Yeah, it's actually really good.
Oh, right, you were.
Yes.
Oh god, I need to watch that. I
It is
got
actually
partway
really
through. Yeah.
You were also totally right about 8th MS Team. Stop at episode 12. Don't watch episode 13.
Oh god.
Did you watch episode 13?
I did watch episode 13.
Everyone does that. Don't watch episode 13. You watch episode 13, like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
No,
I can kind of appreciate it, but also it's just. It's such a letdown after like you've got this denouement and then denouement is what comes after. You got this climax and then a very unsatisfying denouement.
So, Loz, just out of curiosity, whenever you first saw 8th MS Team, did you see it on TV?
No.
Okay.
It was given to me on a DVD.
DVD
back in those
I
days.
first saw it on TV and I never saw the 13th episode. I didn't even know it existed until Xeno said something about it.
Yes, I was given it by a friend who was in. This is the time when someone was reintroducing me to anime, and they gave me a DVD. They were giving me DVDs of things like, the entire of Zeta on DVDs, and they gave me an 8th MS one, and that episode was not on that DVD. They burned.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's a movie that expands more upon that and gives you fills in more of the gap between when episode 12, when the climax ends and when they're, you've got these leftover characters going around and doing things. I don't know if it's worth it though. I just don't feel like it's worth it.
No, can't. Should we move on to another one then?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Who wants to talk about something?
Well. Oh, there's all these lovely things to talk about.
I don't think I think we've gone through all the ones that I've seen.
Well, I'll talk about like a 080 Stardust Memory, which
Okay.
I will try. No, well, it's not much to spoil. But this was actually what somebody got me back into anime with. They just gave me this as my introduction into it, and that was my sort of point. So I just started watching it, enjoying it. I'd never seen any Gundam before, so my first thing for it, and I do feel it is a good example of what a normal Gundam show does, like an entire arc of it, like. God, do they go to Earth? Still on Earth? Yes. So normally in a Gundam series, you'll either start in space, go to Earth, go back to space, or you start on Earth, go up to space, go back to Earth, go back to space. It normally always ends in space, and there's progression through it with evolutions of upgrading your mobile suit and different things appearing or whatever. And I feel W83 is a really great condensed version of a normal Gundam series. It has beautiful art like this here for early 90s. Character design's a little bit weak, I think, at points, but the mechs and things are done beautifully, and it has some really great new ones in it. It has my favourite Gundams in it. Like the Gundam, which is just a nuke cannon, and that's its job. And it goes into like, so the another thing we haven't talked about is there is difference. Mobile suits are humanoid robots that people pilot. Anything bigger, there's no real set definition of it, is what you refer to as a mobile armor. When it's really big.
So like the Apsaras or whatever it was. Was that something completely different entirely? That was in 8MS team. Yeah, that's the thing that
the thing at the end.
Experimental
that would
thing.
be a mobile armor. That would be counted as a mobile armor.
Okay,
it's so huge and ridiculous. And that's actually got 3 mobile suit reactors in it. I think it was.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
It was. And so that's the thing. So this sort of bridges the gap and goes in the actual lineup of where it fits in the main UC timeline is you have the big 1-year war. The 1-year war has ended, and this is what I wanted to talk about because we talked about the pacifism theme. It's also going to talk about like potential super weapons and things in the future. And the one big thing that happens early on, and maybe we'll touch the origin after this and talk about it, which I hope you guys really enjoyed, is referred to as Operation British, which is one of the early plans for Zeon to try and win the war decisively at the start. And what they do is they drop a colony onto Earth.
Doesn't it start out because the Federation like released a bioweapon inside that colony, and so then Zeon was like,
no, Zeon.
Oh god, I'm the origin. That's really
So I somehow mixed that up. So yeah.
Oh no. That's the thing. So the use of things like chemical weapons is a recurring thing in inside colonies and things. And I'd never seen that bit in the origin before. The bit where you got the couple that's like, you go into, I'm gonna die outside and things, and then they're just like, it's so depressing, man.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think, sorry, just to elaborate, I think Side 5, which was the colony that was dropped on Earth,
Australia.
Partly Australia. It basically breaks up into 3 parts, but I think it was Federation loyalists. And that's why Zeon.
Yeah, it was.
No,
they weren't. I don't think they were overly, massively loyalist, but they were refusing to bow to Zeon, and they were like, they just like status quo. The colonies. This did care, and they're like, the Federation will turn up, and so the Zeon decided to use an example to the colonies, killed everyone on the colony with gas. Gas. And then drop the colony on Earth. They were hoping to hit the Federation's main super base, which is under South America. And you might have I want to say this just because for so many shows, it took me ages to understand what this. Do you ever hear the term Jaburo?
Yeah.
That is the name of the main Federation base, and it's built in South America. And for the longest time, this is a great example of a kind of thing which, if you pick a show, they'll start saying Jaburo and defending Jaburo, and we're going to attack Jaburo. You'll have freaking no idea what the hell Jaburo is.
I know what Jaboas are.
What the frick is a Jaburo?
Are they defending? Do they mean they're defending Jaboas? Because I'm all for that. I'm down for that.
Also, I thought it was in Africa. In like
it's in
Amazon.
America, I thought that. I'm pretty.
I thought it was in Antarctica.
Jaburo.
No one knows where the F it is.
Where is
it's underground?
It's secret. It's not. You're not supposed to know where it is.
It's under everything.
It's under the rainforest of Antarctica.
Where is this bloody thing? It's the South American Amazon River Basin.
I stand corrected.
You see, clearly, Joey works for Zeon, and that's why he missed with the colony. In Africa.
I'm like, the big thing for me is like, how the hell did they miss so badly?
Well, it's because minor tweaks of lobbing a giant object from space, like
they didn't do their calculations correctly. Yeah.
But they got like fucking wrong side of the ocean. Is like, I
also don't think they thought it was gonna break up.
You know how fast that's like something has to be moving to stay in geostationary orbit. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like really fast.
Really
so like, So I remember. Hang on. No, we're not. I'm not going to do the math thing. But I remember one time.
Oh, never mind.
When I was in school, we had a math teacher actually go over like some of the physics around like re-entry, and it's like if you're too steep, you'll burn up, or if you're too shallow, then you'll just skip off the atmosphere. So again, it wouldn't take much miscalculation or much intervention in the way of somebody like.
Also, they probably weren't
fiddling
sitting
with
down and making,
dropping
you know,
colony.
detailed calculations for this colony that they're going to drop. They're probably just like, put it on course. We ain't got time for scientists.
They did slingshot it around the moon in order.
Yeah,
to...
they wanted to hit Jabro. They were desperate Jabro.
Yeah.
And so Jabro, this is the thing. It's never explained, and you'll start hearing them freaking talk about Jabro over everything. Jabro is built like massively underground in like a deep basin. I can't remember how much. There's a crazy amount of rock above it, but they've built masses of construction facilities down there. They built spaceships down there.
It's Nerve
It's something
HQ.
you never really get told about. You'll see I think you might see an 8MS team. You see these ships launch up, and you're like, where are they launching from? Whatever. They're built underground in Jabro.
Yeah, you see that in the Origin, right? You see them actually launch a load of Federation ships from this like very jungly area, and like, shit, I don't. Okay.
So this is why it's so important, and this is a great example of something which needs explaining, or you need to see some other bit to understand it. So yeah, there is massive production facilities under Jabro. If they took out Jabro, that'd be it for the Earth Federation. That'd be it. They just could not. That was it. That's their main production facility and all their command and everything. And if it got taken out, they'd be like, blah. That's why they're in quite a lot of the shows attacking Jabro, and that's the 8th MS team. They're trying to blow up Jabro.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just double. So it's like this is how much of a key target it is for them. And so anyway, so the cool thing is they try and drop a colony. But I wish I'd found a picture
the cool
of
thing. The cool thing is cool.
We had pictures of it in the Origin. I can swap to the Origin and see if it turns out.
No. There's a really good image in Stardust Memory or thingy.
Yeah.
Where they're over Africa. You must have seen it at the start.
They don't get to Africa until they're halfway.
No, it's right at the start. They're like flying over. No, sorry, Australia.
Australia, yes.
Yes, you see what's left of Australia, which got hit by a third of the colony drop.
That's okay. Nobody lives there anyway. It probably didn't affect the world that much.
They were trying to get rid of the spiders, okay?
As long as it didn't hit around the coasts, they're fine. You know, nobody lives in the middle.
So I mean,
yeah. So obviously, you know, the use of chemical and biological weapons, which is like, you know, morally grey and, you know, on your enemies, and then doing crazy things by it. So actually, where was I going with this? Oh, yeah, so the whole point is that one of the key things in the 1 Year War, because you might be like, well, why don't people just lob nukes at each other? So it became a deal where Xeon would not drop any more colonies, and the Earth Alliance would not chuck nukes at things, because either of those are just mutually assured destruction. You know, if the Xeon thinks they can't win because they're just getting nuked, then they're just going to drop so many colonies that Earth's just wasteful. And then if Xeon does drop so many colonies, Earth will be like, right, well, we're not going to survive, so just nuke the hell out of them. So it became a trade-off. Anyway, so go Jerry.
And then Char's counterattack, and then
no, we haven't got to Char's. Yeah, well, that's later.
I was actually
that's Neon Xeon.
We'll go over that later.
I was actually
that's true.
Yeah. But that's why I wanted Stardust Memory. Oh, sorry. Go.
I want to say in both kind of piggybacking off this. They don't want to do too much damage. In I think it's 8th MS team, we get a scene of one hole puncturing a colony, and like it creates massive disaster. And then like in I think it's Thunderbolt. It's not Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt. Gosh. Thunderbolt is a Bond movie. They're like, I swear, they're just like piercing a bunch, like just shooting all through them, just shooting massive holes in colonies. It's in one of these, I swear.
I think the ones
it's in War in the Pocket.
Colonies?
Yeah, the ones in Thunderbolt are abandoned colonies. You're talking about War in the Pocket, where they just basically put a gigantic hole in like ships. And it just fucks with everything.
Yeah. I can't remember. Do you see the crazy pink blob goos they released to seal holes and things in that?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
There's some. I think you see it in. There must be in Zeta or the original series. They have this really cool technology. When in a space colony, if there is a hole, they release these sort of orbs that will go to the hole, and then they'll sort of become like glue to seal the gap.
Right.
That was in the original series.
Is in the original series. I think it's in Zeta as well, but yeah. Anyway, so my point is, so W83, I'm trying to set up that. So it's after the 1 Year War, and this is like, you know, I think like, well, Xeon, clearly the bad guys, they dropped a colony onto Earth and killed loads of people.
Nah.
And in W83, the Earth Alliance, it's now peace, the Xeon's given up and everything. The Earth Alliance start designing new Gundams, and the second Gundam they make is a tactical nuke launching Gundam.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think you're doing, you freaking idiots? Zeon then steal it, and it becomes the start of a new war. But it's really interesting because obviously the main show was the original Gundam series, and then Zeta was the next one. And well, this fits in between. How can you have a war? They don't mention it. And what actually happens is it becomes a massive cover-up operation by the end, where everyone, like the Earth Alliance, just scrub the entire data on all three of those Gundams, the whole lot of it. Because they're embarrassed about what it caused, and then like it just becomes even the wars they'll have in space, the big fights they'll have in space, they're just a massive cover operation of it, the whole thing, and that's why it doesn't get talked about. So it's kind of a cheeky way of fitting it into your story, into your timeline, but it does do a good job as well.
It's the same thing they did to the Star Trek Discovery when they just erased that ship from. Yes, I know exactly. They erased the ship from all records, and everyone was sworn to secrecy. And yep.
Oh, what you mean the yes? Oh, the spore drive.
Yeah.
Why would you use the spore drive? Yes, yeah. But no, it actually does bleed in well because at the start of Zeta, the Earth Alliance are still doing shenanigans, and they have a whole new. They basically have a split away faction called the Titans, which start doing shenanigans, and they start having advanced stuff. So it kind of makes sense that though it was all classified, all the tech that they had kind of went to the Titans, and that leads in, and it does. So it does fit quite well. It does do a good job. But anyway, it's a really good story. I don't want to ruin it for Xeno for some of the stuff of it, but it's a good thing. Anyway, yes, I'll stop talking about that. Mumbling away.
Okay.
Right. Do we want to talk about anything about the origin at all, or because I'm looking at the time and I'm wondering?
I actually want to put Joey on the spot and get him to explain Unicorn.
Oh,
because he dared me to put this in the system, and I assume you have seen it, Joey.
I have seen it. Have you? Wait,
I've
you said
seen
you started watching it, and then
the problem was I watched one episode. The next episode didn't come out for like the better part of. But that's what the hell?
What?
Hold on.
Darling in the Franks. What are you doing there?
That's a completely different Mobile Suit Show.
Okay, hold on. Where there's lies. Let's see if that actually.
And before there's
it over.
Attack on Titan slide in there
Nope,
somewhere.
That's still not.
Titans, Titans are just flesh Gundams.
Still a mech anime, yeah.
I mean. Anyway, so I watched the first episode, and then it was like the better part of a year before the second episode came out. I'm like, what happened in the first episode? So I had to watch the first one and the second one again. I said before I could watch the second one, and then the third episode came out like the better part of a year again. I'm like, nah, this isn't working. I no. God damn it.
I get it.
Why does it hate Unicron so much?
I don't know. There you go.
Xeno broke it.
Okay. So, the plot of Unicorn is that there is this mysterious MacGuffin called Laplace's box that is supposedly that's like kind of held the balance between Earth and Xeno. So, if I'm not mistaken, this is like what UC 94 or something like that.
Right.
This is like way after a lot of the other content that's out there. Well, not way after, but there's this like magical MacGuffin, and basically I think it's like Zeon is trying to steal it or something, and then but the ability to open this magical box gets passed to this young guy who ends up being the Gundam pilot, and it turns out that he's like a new type, and basically being the guy that this kind of has inherited this, he gets to pilot this Gundam, which is the Unicorn Gundam, which has this system in it that is supposed to be like super good at combating new types. So does everybody here know what the new type MacGuffin is? Does everybody know what a new type is?
Yeah. But for those who don't know, like they're evolved humans.
They're the next step in human evolution. Some of them have psychic powers.
They look like humans. They are the next step in human evolution.
Yeah. So with the whole like Zeon kind of ideology that evolved quite a bit early on, they were kind of theorizing that like humans would evolve once they went into space, and then new types are that evolution basically.
Watch the origins, and that will, I think, give you enough to understand what a new type is.
Yeah. But so this kid's a new type, and They basically the Federation kind of commandeers him and is like, hey, help us find this box that's like kept things in balance because we want to keep things in balance. And in doing so, they basically they like are kind of in this race to get to the box against these like Zeon forces that are also interested. And there's a little bit of back and forth with like him kind of hanging out with the Zeon, like he gets captured and then he's hanging out with Zeon peeps for a while, and then he makes his way back to the Federation peeps, and then some of the other characters do that as well. So you get a lot of both sides, yeah. But I'd say one of the main draws of the series is the mechs are really, really cool. The Gundams are really awesome. And you get to see a lot of very, by comparison, a lot of the mobile suits in it are very exotic. Especially a lot of the like Zeon mobile suits and stuff like that. But also you get some really interesting exposure to a lot of the other significant kind of points in the 1 Year War and stuff like that. And you get a lot of exposure to Zaikun Zeon's ideas.
Yeah.
In it. So yeah, it's also I will say it has some of the better action out there in my preference in my thoughts. I won't spoil this stuff unless we kind of meander that way conversationally, but
I do kind of have a question, or you go ahead, go first.
Well, I was going to ask, like, do you feel that this is a, if you have an understanding of UC Gundam, is this a must-watch?
I wouldn't necessarily say that it's a must-watch. I would say that it kind of sits in a similar place as Thunderbolt, in that like you need to understand the value of a Zaku. You need to understand there needs to be at least a little bit of context between some of these kind of political parties.
I would say a lot more for Unicorn. If you really wanted to understand Unicorn, there's so many links and things. Like, you need to have seen Zeta, you need to have seen Double Zeta, you need to know what a cyber new type is in relation to a normal new type, you need to know what Axis is, you need to know what
cyber new types get explained.
Do they get explained? I can't remember.
Yeah, they do.
Well, you need to know who Peru is. Would help.
Who is?
Peru. I think it's Peru. I have to try and find her name.
Lala?
No. It's a cyber new type made by Neon Xeon and Zeta.
Neon Xeon.
Neon Xeon. I'm gonna make that my TikTok name.
Yeah, and then they mass produce clone this person.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I did not know. I didn't know that was. Say where the I didn't know that's where the donor. That's who the donor was.
That's who the person is.
Yeah.
So you say
in Double Zeta, and that's the last.
Okay, so to sort of segue away from whatever Loz is trying to avoid spoiling, but so you're saying that realistically you need to watch Zeta and Double Zeta
if you really want to get the fullest of it. I feel Unicorn is yeah. Like, do you know who? Well, first of all, you need to know who this man is. Do you guys know who this guy is?
No.
So this is Bright Noah.
Small Eyes Man.
Who is he, Joey?
He's the dude that slapped Shinji.
Exactly. And you see, that's something you're only going to know if you watch the main Gundam series.
Yeah.
So this guy is pretty much always the captain of the main ship.
Right.
Oh.
So this is also Hathaway's dad.
Yep.
Right.
Another context thing of why Hathaway makes no sense to you. And that's what you'd get that in Charles Counterattack. You see, so this Unicorn, like Thunderbolt, you can just watch because it's like it's that first 1 Year War. As long as you know what a Zaku is, you can watch that. Unicorn, I feel you really get the most if you have to know so much to really appreciate all the bits and pieces going on, all the mechanical parts.
That's fair. I can
Okay.
get with that. Again, I didn't know that was her.
Okay, so I've watched The Origins, I've watched War in a Pocket, I've watched 8th MS Team, Thunderbolt, I'm in the middle of Stardust Memory. So Zeta, Double Zeta, then Unicorn?
Well, if you really wanted to, for like the Bright Noah stuff, you'd have to go watch the original movies. Then this is the main thing of like how it used to be released was the main movies Zeta, Double Zeta, that and like to understand the Neo Xeon wars and that's obviously because there's the first war in which it's Xeon and then they go away, but there's still Zeta and then Double Zeta. Well, what sparked the colonies attacking in those? You don't appreciate them. You see, so and then you appreciate how they're called sleeves, I think, in Unicorn, and you appreciate their point because then you understand the crazy amount of wars that have gone on in the colonies to get them to that point, and how they're still desperate. For instance, in Char's Counterattack, at the start of Char's Counterattack, Char, who's one of the main characters running through, it's just like, screw this! I'm dropping a giant asteroid onto Earth. That obviously gets stopped, but then in Unicorn, you're like, oh, that's the giant asteroid that was about to get dropped onto Earth. You see?
And I feel like I need a recommended reading list for.
I've been trying to carefully maneuver you around and stuff. But Unicorn is. I feel Unicorn is a lot because then it's like on top of all of this, it's like the Laplace box. The Laplace box. What is the Laplace box?
Yeah,
open the Laplace box.
I did get a lot of like Code Geass vibes from this, like a lot more than most other Gundam series, and I'm not a fan. I know I'm gonna piss off some of your viewers. I'm sorry. I'm not a Code Geass fan.
That's fine. I mean, it's it's entirely up to people. So another question is, with Zeta and Double Zeta, like how long are they in terms of are they series or
they're 52 episode series that get condensed into 3 movies like the original series.
Oh, so can you just watch the 3 movies?
There's like you could. I would not force anyone to watch Double Zeta series.
Okay.
It starts off right. Okay, so we've saying all this stuff that we started to point about serious, themes and everything. They started that show off comedically.
Right. Okay.
They were experimenting.
And like 20 episodes in, they're like, "Freaking just have a war." I'm just gonna say moon to you guys. That'll mean nothing to you, but for me, it has flashbacks. Freaking colony moon. Freaking
okay.
Moon.
Okay, fine.
Right, so I'm aware of the time, and obviously, we can keep the things you see is just a rabbit hole. You can go down. So I just because we've been focusing, because most people do, we're focusing mainly at the early on. I just want to go beyond Unicorn for a bit. I'm just going to say them just to let you know what stuff happens after that. There's actually a bit after that called F91, which is a movie. Which was going to be a series and then is kind of condensed into a movie. It's pretty interesting it's a good watch, but again, you're like, what the hell is going on? I had to watch it twice and be like, because it tries to do an entire series in one movie and it is mental.
Right.
Yeah, but it has some good stuff in it. Basically in that, like, mobile suits, they the technology miniaturizes. So you got all these people using these giant mobile suits, what you consider like a Zapdos, and then people using shrunk down ones, and they're just kicking people's asses because they've got all these tiny mobile suits. They're just more miniature. Yeah, because of it. The actual reason for that was because of the recession in, I think it was the 90s or something, which meant they couldn't get to make the model kit smaller, so they made it into the lore of the show. That was the reason for it.
Awesome.
That goes into that, and then it actually goes into something called the Crossbone Vanguard and Crossbone Gundam, which hasn't ever been animated, but I've always been told this is one of the best bits of Gundam, or it's really, really cool, and it's never yet been animated. There's always been talks of them getting to that point. After that is then Victory Gundam, which I wanted to reach this point. That's kind of the end point, really. I know there's some bits and pieces around there, but and I'm just to touch people in case anyone does want to go this far. Victory. So the guy who did this is Tamino, was the guy who did most of the Gundam series, and he got a name, Kill 'Em All Tamino. Because by the end of a Gundam series, normally towards the end, he'd have a big fight and all the stakes are up, and he'd kill a lot of his people then, sometimes pointlessly. But
very Shakespearean. Very Shakespearean tragedy.
When he got to Victory or V Gundam, he was also depressed.
Oh no.
and it's interesting, but also it tries to explain like, okay, so we've had all this constant war for almost 100 years at this point. You've got these people in space. Shouldn't there be loads of new types? What happens with that? And it kind of leads to that kind of stuff. But still, you got the colonies attacking Earth. But it's not really a spoiler because it's just annoying. I'm gonna complain about it. I can't remember what they're called. They have a name, but he introduces a group to support the main Gundam pilot of like 10 women. They've got a name, like a something squad or something.
Right.
Their entire job, from what I could tell, being put in the show, is just to die horrifically every other episode.
Oh dear God.
Horrifically. He just kills off. It's just horrific. It's awful. Absolutely awful. And I can't picture him. But in this show, it's kind of weird. There's a lot of weird kind of things, like the enemy mobile suits have like these weird motor wheels they can get in, which can, because they go down to Earth, and it's like a unicycle. But they also use this for their battleships that come down from the moon. They have these giant wheels that come under battleship, like that can crash towns. Huge.
Right.
And like one person of this team gets crushed under that. Just
oh my God.
Just really, it's like she gets knocked out of the air and she can't get up on her mobile suit's not working, and then just giant wheel just crushes her. It's like, oh, that's just lovely. So yeah. So yeah, if you though there is stuff future into the UC timeline, I don't want to just ignore it. Yes, I'm aware it's there. Obviously, we can't cover it all in this 2 hours. These 2 hours we're talking about this, but it is there. It's okay, but I wouldn't recommend at that point. They obviously, with Unicorn is moving forward. It is going towards the later stuff now. It's past the Neozeon Wars. For ages they just kept producing stuff at the 1 year war or around Zeta, Double Zeta period. This is actually, Unicorn is going forward. So whereas Thunderbolt is the 1 year war. It's just like, let's just have another point in the 1 year war. So maybe they'll get back to that sort of stuff in the future because it does push the technology and things. But
who knew there were so many Gundams during the 1 year war?
Oh yeah, well that's the question. They just keep finding more of these Gundams. There's a great show, a great channel. I think it's not Kakarot. It's Kakarot something. If you ever want more Gundam stuff, he does a Kakarot Gundam.
We'll put a link into the description below.
Well, he does great videos for like if you wanted to see the Zaku development history, and he pulls all the different sources together to give you a story of it. But even he comes to points where it's like, and here's the pre-Gundam line, and then there was this, and then there's an indication there was this many here and this many here. It's like, it just keeps like, where do all these Gundams come from? It's ridiculous. Yeah. Anyway, but let's obviously round it off here.
I do have one more question for Joey.
Oh, sure.
So when you see a new series coming out, or even an old series you haven't watched, what is the first thing that draws you to it? Is it the look of the Gundams, or is it the description of the story?
Honestly, it's the style of animation.
Yeah.
It's kind of like judging a book by its cover, but like that's the.
So not even necessarily the designs of the Gundams themselves, but how well everything's animated.
No, and I mean, like I've heard a lot of people making arguments that like the Gundams in Iron-Blooded Orphans are like not very Gundam-like, and that's Iron-Blooded Orphans is a mech anime and not a Gundam anime. And I disagree with that a lot. So I like me some cool-looking Gundams, but the thing that like
it's not the main draw.
The main draw for me is usually the style of animation.
Cool.
Maybe the soundtrack. It's got to be a really cool soundtrack.
A bit of everything, really.
Yeah.
So, and that's why Seed is shit. Seed is awful, Joey. You know it.
You made him sad.
I love that if we go back and look at Seed, when
it looks
like,
fun now.
Yeah, CG stuff is cool. Let's do that. And it was too early. Much too early.
Hold on.
Oh, he's gonna bring it up. He's gonna bring it up.
We've started. We are.
So also for everyone, just while Xeno's finding that, I'll let people know. So Seed was an attempt to kind of make a new UC timeline. It kind of does a lot of the beats. So that some of the characters and they're different names, but they do exactly the same thing of happening. Like the main character falls in love with this character and then they die. Happens again in Seed. It's got the same sort of. The only difference is that the colony people are genetically engineered rather than becoming new types by just being in space.
I like that. I like that better, actually.
It's okay, but it's a bit meh. And it does some good stuff and it does some bad stuff. But it Seed is okay-ish, and then Seed Destiny starts really well for about 6 episodes because it kind of goes for a different view. and then Kira Almighty Jesus turns up.
Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. This looks like butt. This looks like butt. Look at the butt.
Where's Kira? Just put Kira.
I mean, it looks all right as a still image, but I imagine the movement is
No, but the thing is, like, wait for the Gundams.
not great,
right? Because the Gundams look like they're just geometric shapes, right? With no detailing whatsoever. Like, I mean, big
so the new Vash the Stampede. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Wow, shots fired too earlier. I was hoping a screenshot change anytime now.
Nope. No screenshot for you.
Apparently,
It's probably changed to this again, just to let you see this guy's face some more.
No,
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
you can see how the uniforms. It's very Earth Alliance uniforms again. It's kind of it was their attempt to kind of make a intro to Gundam, and people could watch this, and then you go try and get into the UC stuff, and you kind of have that's like this in Seed, and this is like this in Seed. And it's like,
the system's actually built to prevent the same screenshot from appearing multiple times in a row.
Turns out this is the only one we have, and
Seed found a way. So, you know.
Seed found a way. Seed found a way. Oh, come on, just put up.
Can't you change away and back to Seed continuously? Couldn't that work?
No, it's based on a timer. Just trying to find Seed.
we finally have a different picture.
Look,
okay,
they all look
all right.
butt.
Okay,
They all
all
look
right. Yeah, I'm seeing
butt.
it now.
It's like butt.
Ooh, that's rough. Ooh,
Yeah.
ow.
Hey, look. Here's some Gundam 00. Right? Any second now. Right?
Also, that lady on the light.
That's War in the
That's
Pocket.
one pocket, which also looks beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
just look at the
Yeah.
ice. Look at that ice.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Look at that effort.
Well, look at the
Look at
detail
that.
on the. Well, okay,
There's
not
trees.
this. Not this so much. This is clearly a painted background, but
That's 80. So people.
Yeah.
Oh, there, look at that.
Look at the origin. Look at the origin.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Origin
Like
really
that,
good.
that grass is just one gradient. It doesn't matter. Look at the foreground.
Put that in the
Gorgeous.
origin.
Look at the rim on that windscreen. Oh, gorgeous.
Beautiful.
And then,
just
and
like
then you look at Seed, and Seed looks like butt.
I just like hearing Xeno complain.
I think that's why most people watch him. You know.
Probably. Anyway, right? Should we wrap up here? Jeez, there's so much more to Gundam than I thought there would be.
Oh yeah.
Yeezy, right? So, but I got homework. I got stuff I need to watch. Naz has had stuff he needs to watch, and it's time to move on to the supporter questions. So,
hang on. No. Before
You
you do
go
that, I yes, there's one last thing. I just wanted. I've got the image and I never got around to talking about it. I found the perfect example of how the original Gundam series was just villain of the week. Did you put those in assets? Did you say?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's
Save over any of them. It's fine.
One was kind of just for you guys because it shows
5.
the different sides. Yeah. So
What?
This is in the original. Yeah. So this is the perfect example of how it was kind of like, what villainous thing will Xeon create next for our people to fight?
What toy can we sell this time?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Why does it have a mouth?
Yeah. Now somebody actually did a better
For terror.
a better version of this that actually looks really cool, so it doesn't look awful. But yeah, this is how it was in the series, and it's like, so you've got all these trying to be realistic, trying to be like, and then you got this thing.
No.
And it has a mouth.
That's my sleep paralysis demon.
Yeah.
Right. Turn that off.
There we go.
Let's okay, let's move on with the show. So to the supporter questions. All right. Zrul says, before we start the supporter questions, I'm going to ask everyone to make sure you've subscribed to the channel. You can undo it later if you want, but it really helps the channel. Please don't undo it later. That has a negative impact. YouTube will go, oh, people don't like this channel. Let's just poop on it. So please don't unsubscribe. No. Zrugel also says, have any of you seen the anime Dragon Goes House Hunting? I'm finding it just funny enough to continue watching, but I wanted a second opinion. It got a bad case of main character gets on my nerves syndrome. I have heard of this. It was one of the recent seasons, but I didn't actually watch it myself.
It sounds like the kind of thing I'd hate, so no.
I think it was aired at the same time as that character that spends 300 years just killing slimes and becomes overpowered. You know the one.
I spent 300 years killing slimes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one.
And all I got was this lousy t-shirt.
Unfortunately, I can't give you a second opinion. Sorry. Definitely not another person says episodes of Don't Hurt Me My Healer are officially titled with some very descriptive names. For example, episode 12 is titled We've Reached the Final Episode at Last, and the entire staff, including those on the manga side, would like to thank you all for watching, because the manga doesn't yet contain a story that could be used for a final episode. This is basically going to be totally original story. Although we made sure to get the dwarf character designs and lines and ideas from the creator. Oh crap! You moved.
Oh
it.
my god! It's okay. You're up here.
Hako Sensei.
Yeah.
So we are able to make it feel consistent, but it's also sad to reach the end at last. And while we'd really like to spend more time with Carla and Alvin and the others, please remember that their adventures will continue in the manga, so continue to support them there. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. And once more, from the bottom of our hearts, we'd like to say thank you very much. And that's the deal with episode 12, final episode. Did you imagine ever, even for a second, that I would watch a show like this and not force you to read one of these titles?
It does. I do remember that much from watching it. It has some insanely long titles.
Was that actually genuinely the title?
I didn't watch episode 12, so I couldn't tell you.
I can't possibly for a heartbeat believe that was actually a title.
I don't know. Given the quote unquote humor in that show, it wouldn't surprise me.
That's longer than the bloody sun.
Yeah, you can fit as much text you want on the screen. Maybe it was a scrolling title.
No. You can't.
From what I can see, the Wikipedia page for them just lists each one of the titles as that's the deal with episode X. Right. And that's the actual title of the episode. But then I imagine maybe they put more on it. But yeah, that's. Oh no! Each one is. Oh no! Then it does give the massive one. Okay, no, it is massive. And yes, that is the entire title.
See?
Fuck off. Really?
I told you.
Yeah, no, it is. It actually is.
This show had stupid long title. Yeah.
Dear God.
It might have been the only funny thing about it, in my opinion. But you know.
I mean, I'll try episode 2, but normally try 3 episodes. I watched episode 1 and I was like,
don't Loz, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't hurt yourself. It's literally just the same joke over and over again.
Okay.
In almost the exact same order, at least up to episode 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. The brand new trailer for the upcoming series of Trigun Stampede was released on the day of recording, and even mentioned by your show as news. I could see the future. And fans are all over the place in their opinions. So what commentary can be made from this reveal about the state of American politics?
Vash for president.
Thaylien, this only works if Kanpai Cast comes out after Notice Me Senpai, which it doesn't. So this is like
watch Notice Me Senpai tomorrow to get the full context for this joke.
Oh my god. Point is, at least Netflix didn't do it.
Yeah.
All right.
Clearly Vash for president, though. Like I said, yeah. Knives for Speaker of the House.
Okay. Anyway, right. Nasuth says, how many shonen characters does it take to screw in a light bulb? Only one, but it takes about 50. It takes about 50 episodes.
Yep. You're welcome. You're welcome. Just keep coming with the bangers, you know.
That's fair. Right. Okay. So moving on to the comments. Strombus Void Shell. You should have that Thaylien guy on again and just pretend he wasn't already on.
I kind of like this idea. Yeah, we haven't had. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Who's Thaylien?
On. We should get Thaylien on.
We should get Thaylien.
Nick
we should
Evans
get Joey
says,
on sometime, honestly.
Yeah. Nick Evans says, just for Loz's early comment, I enjoyed Silver Decks, but I preferred my
Sliver Decks.
Sorry, it says Silver.
No, it says Sliver.
No, it is Sliver. Sorry, yeah. But I preferred my overrun Kavu deck. That was heck of a lot of fun once it got rolled.
So I don't understand this because I didn't get that deep into Magic. I know what Sliver decks are, but I assume this is Loz will get this and have a funny.
Joey will probably get it as well.
Joey will probably get this and have a funny. No?
Yeah, he does. He's gonna comment.
Nope.
What do you mean nope?
Nope, I don't get it.
Loz, do you get it?
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't.
Right, Zrugel says, the timestamp sounds good. It adds flair that I appreciate. Nasuth does not feed that poor kitty. I'm joking. I can only hear it while I'm listening for it.
So that's a nice little Easter egg for you guys. Listen for the cat in the background sometimes. You know.
In response to last week's episode, Raw Men joke. Don't worry, Nasuth. I laughed at that joke. Also,
thank you, Zero.
Reviews, guys. Good work. There we go. So that's it for the comments from last week. And now it's time to go to the memes. And if you like memes, anime memes, go to twitter.com/Kanpai Cast and you'll find memes.
So many
the
memes.
Week.
So many memes.
So many memes. So many good memes. And yeah, so it's time to start with Nasuth's.
You might even say they're good anime memes, you know?
That's one of the places they come from.
I saw that you put this on the Twitter account already, but it doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I thought for a second Loz was drinking straight out of a coffee pot. So sorry.
Of course he is.
What are we having for dinner tonight? Food.
Actually, Nasuth, dumb thought. Move the panel to the right because it doesn't matter if they see us.
That is true.
We can see their
We can see their reactions.
Yeah, we can see their reactions. Loz is drinking from a coffee pot.
Yeah.
Right. So
number 2.
Next one.
Show me the best haunting smile. I said the best.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm on users when they watch Demon Slayer. Pathetic. Yeah. Time traveler moves a chair. The timeline.
Oh dear God.
Elegante. Rule 34. I might paint a picture of a clown. This clown has been really popular on the internet this past week or so. I don't know why.
Where is it from?
I don't know.
Really?
No.
I've seen
I saw it in some Phoenix Wright thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it actually from Phoenix Wright? Okay.
I think so.
Okay. Yeah.
The what do you call it? The objection?
Yeah.
Okay.
And finally, this cannot be comfortable. Fish. Cat. That cat. I mean, fucking. And Joey even brought up Attack on Titan earlier, so you know, perfect.
Yeah. Okay, my first meme: how to drink water. 1.7 million people before this video. Yeah. My second meme: if I make you fall in love with me first, I win. Then I'll get to devour you. I see this as an absolute win.
Oh my God.
If you've watched Data Live, you'll get the meaning, but
degeneracy.
Otherwise, out of context, it's brilliant. Anyway, third one. Me scrolling through the school group list. Someone has an anime profile picture.
Oh no. Trying to avoid them.
Clearly. Right. When the protagonist goes berserk. Eren, Meliodas, now for me. Number 5. Spy X Family. Damn it, I said it wrong. Spy Family, JoJo, rest of season in October. Spy Family.
Oh! The rest of the JoJo season's not coming out in October or something.
It's coming out.
Part 2 is, but who knows how many actual parts there are. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. And then my final meme
is not coming up. Did you actually save it properly?
I'm pretty sure I did. I think you broke it. Yes, I did. Why have you broken it?
Oh no, Xeno!
Why'd you keep breaking it? Turn on 5 and turn on 6. There you go. I'll make it big again.
I'm doing it, okay?
Right, there we go.
What the fuck?
This was titled. This was titled. Frieza's true backstory.
Frieza's what?
Frieza's true backstory.
You're just a monkey.
I forgot the title wasn't on the image itself.
Oh my god. That was so good.
Oh my god.
So good.
I tried really hard. Right. Well, that's it for this week's episode. Joey, thank you so much for coming on and talking Gundam. Thank you everyone for listening or / watching. And now it's time to bottoms up and Kanpai!
Kanpai!
Joey, you're muted.